So I obviously got to I can't remember the last time I was at Oxford, but got to come up there and see y'all win the Region 6 title over Clay Chalkville. It was kind of, how would you, like, now that you've kind of digested that game, how would you kind of describe that game overall? It felt like a weird night to me.
It was definitely like an up and down thing. I mean, if you've seen Oxford football this year, you kind of come to expect those things as far as, kind of getting behind early and kind of, fighting our way back in. But, Clay's got a great team and we knew that, it was going to take 48 minutes. And like you said, it was a different game. It was, obviously the stakes were high because of a region championship and that stuff is important. It's important to the kids, it's important to our school, our community, our coaching staff, all that sort of thing. But, you know, it was a fun night for sure. I thought our team battled and their kids battled too. And I mean, it was a great high school football game.
Yeah. I was in the aftermath, I posted some video stuff, specifically those two touchdowns from Mason to Nick. And I know Nick's going to play baseball at the next level, but it seemed like every comment was like, where are the college football recruiters for Nick? Like, what just kind of give me the breakdown on him as a route runner and as a high school wide receiver.
Well, I'll tell you this: he's as good of a high school wide receiver as you're going to see. And he's been doing this for 3 years. I know as a sophomore, he was the team's leading receiver, and then last year he was the second leading receiver on the team behind Kamari Hampton, who's obviously a really good player. He's at Nicholls State now, and then he's number two on our team this year behind Jalen Taylor. But actually, Nick leads our team in touchdown catches. He's got 9 on the year, and Jalen's got 7. So I mean, Nick is so good at kind of manipulating space. He's so good at, like zone coverage. He knows where to sit down. He knows how to get open. He's not like, Coach Adams talked about this the other day. He did a local interview. Nick is definitely not the most physically imposing guy. But he makes up for it because he's a really smart football player. And he's really good at like the double move type stuff. And both of his touchdown catches he had the other night were off double moves. And it's just a thing. I'm glad he's playing for us. As far as his college opportunities, I haven't seen him play baseball yet, but he must be pretty good. So I know he's our leadoff hitter, and he plays center field and he pitches some. So excited to see what the rest of the season brings for him. But man, he's a really good player, and I think a lot of teams would be fortunate to have a guy like Nick, and some schools do, but I'm thankful he's playing for us.
Yeah. Your first year now at Oxford, is it super helpful coming into a situation where you being the offensive coordinator, you've got seemingly, I mean, obviously talent, but such experience on that side. Does that make your job easier?
Oh, absolutely. And the biggest thing I want to say is just how welcoming everybody has been here to me. And look, I'll just be, this is as honest as I can be. This is Sam Adams' offense. Okay, he's the brainchild behind this. In my opinion, Sam Adams is one of the best offensive coaches in the state. And I think everybody that knows Coach would tell you that. I mean, he's
Sure.
as sharp as you get. And then the guys we work with on the offense side of the ball, Jeremy Tabley's been coaching the O line here for over 25 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, very veteran guy, and then you got Jordan Fuller and Dawson Green who do a great job with our wide receivers, and Cole Wallace helps Coach Tabley on the offensive line, and Ahmad Duramus coaches our quarterbacks. So I mean, look, we got a great staff, and then I can't really speak enough. I don't I feel like our offense gets a lot of credit because of the kind of star power, I guess, and rightfully so. Mason Mims he's unreal, man. Like
Yeah.
he's a an elite thrower of the football. And but man, our defense is really kept us in ball games. The second half of the season, the way they played Friday night was pretty crazy. Um, but just very thankful. Like I said, I walked into a really good situation, and any coach will tell you, if you're going to have a really good season, you better have really good players. So you got guys like Caleb Wynn and DK Wilson, and
Yeah.
Cam Kanan Bozeman's done some good things, and Kanan Bozeman doesn't really show up on the stat sheet a lot, but he does a lot of good things on the perimeter as far as blocking. His routes sometimes get guys open based off the coverage. Um, our offensive line just continues to get better every week, and we got a lot of multiple year starter guys up there. So, guys like Markevian Conley, Rashad Cunningham, Jaden Taylor, or Jaden Young, excuse me. And, you got Jackson Newton and Bryson Sanderson. They've done a great job. And our tight ends, Bo Mims, Justin Pham, they've done a good job. I mean, look, it's just been a total team effort, and very, very thankful.
Yeah. How cool is it to be region champs?
It's pretty cool. I've only done it, one other time in my career. That was in 2014 when I was the offense coordinator at Lincoln. We won the 5A region championship. So it's really cool, and it's a big deal. I mean, anytime you win a championship, it's a big deal. And look, our region's not real easy. And, I mean, you got some really good teams, and
Yeah.
some great teams. I feel like, you know, um, even the Pell City, man, they weren't no joke. I mean, they came in and gave us everything we
They're
wanted.
improved.
Yeah, they're much better, and Shades was had a good game plan for us, and executed their game plan well, and we just caught some breaks in the second half. And Pinson was, I mean, their front was really good. They played really well against us that night. And obviously we got Huffman tonight, so and they're much improved. Like we were talking before the podcast, they're much improved. Coach Bivens is really good coach, and he's had a lot of success, and so I mean, look, our region's not easy, and kind of coming into this thing, and obviously it's well documented what Coach Yeager's done at Mountain Brook, and I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from a Coach Yeager coach team is to go out there and do what they do and do it really well, and not beat themselves. And then obviously Clay Chalkville speaks for themselves too as well. I mean, they're the defending state champs still until somebody puts them out of the playoffs. So I mean, and I know Stewart's just going to, Coach Floyd's going to continue to do great things with that program as well.
Yeah, I'm headed out tonight. I'm going to stay close by, and I'm going to go to that Mountain Brook Shades Valley game tonight. That one. I was trying to remember. I think last week Pinson needed to beat Pell City for Shades Valley to have a chance at getting in at the 4 seed, and Pell City knocked them out. So this game tonight's not. I mean, it means something, but it doesn't mean something for the playoffs. So it lost a little juice, but I am curious to see, because I haven't got to see Shades Valley yet, and they seem like, despite I guess like a 3-5, 3-6 record, it seems like they've given a lot of teams problems this year. So I'm curious to see what Coach Nelson, a legend in his own right, brings to round out the season for them against Mountain Brook.
Yeah, I mean, they I can't speak for any of the other teams they played, but they played us really physical, and like I said, had a great game plan for us, and they do some really good things on both sides of the ball. I don't know, their numbers are not, they don't have your typical 6A numbers.
Yeah.
Their numbers are somewhere in that 50 range. So I don't know if that'll play I'm not into analyzing other teams' games or anything. So, I mean, they're a solid team.
For sure. So you've been at Lincoln. I know you've been at Asheville. Where all have you stopped?
So this is year 13 for me coaching. 13. So I'm originally from Loganville, Georgia. I went to Grayson High School. I played for Nick Tom there, who's the co-defense coordinator, safeties coach at Clemson now. And so I grew up in Georgia, went to Jacksonville State out of high school. And always knew I wanted to coach, was an undergraduate student assistant at Jacksonville State for 5 years. Right before I was set to graduate, I met my now wife, who is a local girl. She's from Pleasant Valley, right outside of Jacksonville. Yeah. That's where we live now. So I went back to Georgia after I graduated college, and I coached a year at Dublin High School for a guy named Roger Holmes, who's Hall of Famer, won multiple state championships, fantastic dude. Then when I decided, I asked Allison to marry me, I moved back to Alabama, and so Coach Brad Wallace, who was a coach at a rival school in South Georgia, had just gotten the Lincoln job. That was where he was from. He's from Lincoln. So it was kind of like perfect storm. It was kind of like God's timing, I was coming back. He was getting the job. Coach Holmes put in a good word for me. I ended up staying there as offense coordinator. Was there 3 years with him. Left, took a head coaching job at Westbrook Christian. An opportunity I'm thankful for a lot of reasons. But Gary, in this business, and a lot of guys don't like to admit this, but I got fired. And I got fired like early in the year. Like I was only there 7 months, and it's a thing where, honest to goodness, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. From a standpoint, I should have not have even been considered for that job. But, in kind of the way the deal works nowadays, and, sometimes, programs need a shot in the arm and they think hiring the young guy, is the right way to go. And in some cases that might be the right way to go. But I know for me, it just wasn't a good fit. I resigned and still think a lot of Westbrook, still think a lot of the people there. It was a good, like I said, a good thing that happened to me. Fortunately for me, Lincoln High School had an opening, like actually early in that year. A coach left and got out of coaching, so they hired me back at Lincoln. Was there another year, and then went to Asheville with Barry Simmons, who's the defense coordinator at St. Clair County. Loved Barry to death. Took a chance on me when a lot of guys wouldn't. Because you get fired, and sometimes there's this perception. Well, what did he do, and this and that, and the fact is sometimes it's just not a good fit. And sometimes people want to make a change, and that's fine. That's what administrators get paid to do is make the tough decisions. And sometimes I didn't see that as a 28-year-old, 27-year-old when I got the job, but as soon to be 37-year-old, I see it. I understand. I understand that, and was at Asheville for 5 years and really enjoyed it. Love Asheville, and man, it's such a great place and such a great community with fantastic kids, and the school itself is a great environment. And then, I got two young kids. I got a 9-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. And in my third year as the head coach, things had not gone great. My first 2 years, we did pretty well. Went 5-5 my first year, and 6-4, and kind of, that was kind of, having, a 500 season and a winning season at Asheville at that time hadn't been done in, 20 years. And, thankfully, I caught it at a good time, had some good players, and had a fantastic coaching staff. But I missed out on a lot of things because I was the head football coach, I was the athletic director, and I was the assistant softball coach. And so it was just like, I was like year round, I was kind of burning the candle at both ends. So Jeremy Sullivan at Boaz, who is a fantastic friend and mentor, had an opening on his staff, and he called me and asked me if I'd be interested. And, I told him I would, on the condition that I didn't have to coach anything but football. And he said, yeah, that's no problem. So, it was really good. I got to step back. I got to be an assistant, and I'm a much better assistant coach now because of having sat in that seat as a head coach, and a lot of guys, sorry, my lights are kind of like,
no, you're good.
Automatic.
I get it.
And
it happens in those school buildings. I get it. I've seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just very thankful to be working for him, and man, he was awesome. And then this job comes open, and me and Coach Adams had known each other a while, and I live in Calhoun County, so and it's kind of weird. I've always lived in Calhoun County, but I never worked anywhere in Calhoun County. Working in Talladega County, working in Etowah County, and then in St. Clair, then Boaz. I've always driven. I've always drove, everywhere I've worked, and so me and Coach talked, and I came and met with him for about 4 hours, and I guess he thought it was a good fit, so he offered me the position. I went to Coach Sullivan with it, and Coach Sullivan said, "Look, you're an idiot if you turn that down." He said, that's a great job. And he's like, I don't want to lose you, but at the same time, like, you got to do what's best for your family. So I'm, very appreciative for every man I've worked for, Roger Holmes, Brad Wallace, Matt Zedeker, Barry Simmons, and, Jeremy Sullivan, now Sam Adams. I mean, they've all been fantastic to work for.
Yeah. You said you're from Loganville?
Yeah. Loganville.
You know John Langston?
I do. Me and actually John was 2 years behind me. We played high school football together. We hung out a lot in high school, man. He's great.
I wondered.
Yeah, man.
I bumped that music in the headphones a lot.
Hey, listen now, John was a great
I've
football
heard.
dude.
I've heard he was a dog.
He was a dog, man. Like he was so fast, and he would just, dude, he would knock your head off. He was so freaking good, and man, like, but he was, look, that was, at the time Georgia only had five classifications, and we were in the highest classification, and I like to tell people are like, you went to Grayson? I'm like, yeah, but we weren't quite Grayson then. It wasn't until like my senior class graduated that became Grayson, so they had to get
Yeah.
all the top players out. That's what it was. So,
Man.
Tom was great.
You listen to his music much? Is that your kind of thing?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I listen to a lot of. I'm kind of versatile, but I'm more of a. I like country. I
Yeah.
love. Like, we were talking about this after the game. Like, you know,
Yeah.
the young man you had on from Spain Park, great player. Seems like a
Yeah.
great kid. Just like hammering. Oh, listen to that old stuff, the Third Eye Blind, and like Creed. And I'm like, dude, that's like stuff I used to rock in high school, and
Yep.
like Pearl Jam, and man,
Yes.
that's like the '90s alternative was where it's at for sure.
Man. Yeah, no, I enjoy listening to most of John's stuff. So some of the stuff I'm like, okay, I don't know. This is a bit of a stretch, but every now and then there's a song on some of his albums where I'm like, it just hits, like it just
Yeah,
really hits home, like man, that latest album, I don't know without pulling it all up, but that song Granddaddy's Watch, that kills
yeah,
me. And then man, I mean he's just got a lot of bangers. I mean, you play that Now You Know song
yeah,
like before a game or something like that, or in the gym or something, you're like you feel like you can hit a PR on that day, you
yeah.
know?
It's funny because like the kind of energy he brings to his music, dude. That's how he was in high school. Like he was just like a ball of energy, and he like Hard on Ice is the album that he came out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a really good one. Yeah, I actually got it on my Apple Music, and so yeah, I got Cigarettes and Me's good.
I do
Um,
like that one.
or and then it's uh where
I'm gonna have to
heartache
pull it
comes
up.
around. Yeah,
Yeah, because that one, the one you're talking about, let's see, track listing. Because that Cigarettes and Me, like, if you judge the book by its cover, you would be remiss because it's not quite about what you
no,
might think, and it's so good.
yeah, it is.
But yeah,
It's good. And where heartache hangs around is a really good one. That's
yeah,
a really good one. But he's got some bangers, man. I'm proud of him, and man, I probably haven't seen him in, oh man, probably 10 years. And I mean, I don't make it home much anymore, and he's
yeah.
obviously in Nashville now. Just and he's got a little girl, and I mean, I keep up with him on social media and stuff, and it's funny, like it's really cool to see people you grew up with going to do big things. I'm happy for him, man.
Yeah, I love that because Muscadine Bloodline. I just saw them at Oak Mountain opening for Post Malone. Like we had tickets to that, and my wife really wanted to see Post Malone. She's a much bigger fan than I am. Now I'm a fan, but she's just a much bigger fan. And when we bought the tickets, we didn't know who was opening for him, and that's always what I end up more interested in is who am I going to find tonight that maybe I haven't heard before and find some new group or something. And then when Muscadine Bloodline, who I've listened to for like a decade, when they said they were going on tour with him, I was like, I'm all in now.
Yeah,
But Muscadine Bloodline's got this song from several years ago with John Langston on it. I'll leave out the first word
yeah.
because I don't want to say it, but
Need a dirt road.
I need a dirt road.
Yeah.
Love that song.
That's a banger, man. I got that one on my
Oh my
playlist.
gosh.
Good. Yeah. It's a really good.
Gary Stanton can play guitar better than I don't know. That he's the guitarist and sings a lot of harmony type stuff for Muscadine Bloodline. Sings on his own too, but he might be the most talented musician in Nashville, I think. I mean, he'll get up there and he's going to play the guitar while doing harmonica. He's going to sing in between. He can do everything, man.
Yeah.
And
That's
not to
awesome.
mention, isn't the coach from the Friday Night Lights TV show also
Yeah.
from Loganville, Kyle
Yeah.
Chandler, that
Yeah,
actor?
Kyle Chandler went to I think he went to like George Walton, which is a private school in Monroe,
Okay.
which is in Walton County. So Loganville's kind of an interesting area. Um, like, so Grayson is actually in Gwinnett County, but it has a
Yeah.
Loganville address. Well, Loganville is in Walton County. And it's just,
Okay.
yeah. Like, listen, I lived less than a quarter of a mile from the high school growing up, and we had a Loganville address, and I was just like, why don't we have a Grayson address? But I mean, look, man, I don't, as a 17, 18-year-old kid, you don't understand like zoning and why they, I, but yeah, man, it's a cool area, and it's a place that's really grown up with, with the rest. Metro Atlanta's just kind of absorbed it, and you know, like when I was in high school, like there was probably four or five neighborhoods, and I think there was a Publix, a Waffle House, and a Wendy's. Like, and like there was nothing. Okay, like they started building the KFC Taco Bell, or it was a Taco Bell and Long John Silver's, like on Georgia 20, like my senior year of high school. Because I remember we were playing Loganville in a scrimmage, and we were beating, and like our center was talking about how he couldn't wait to go to the Taco Bell after the game, and in the huddle, and I'm like, all right, man, and
That's so funny.
yeah, it was, man. I'll tell you what, it was a lot of good times, and playing for a guy like Mickey Kahn, and playing with all my friends, man, really, I kind of knew I wanted to be a coach early on, but like that just kind of cemented it for me because Coach Kahn was, I mean, just I mean, he's such a good man, good Christian man and a man of faith, and he played for Gene Stallings in Alabama and on the
Yeah.
'92 national championship team, and he was a walk-on DB, and
Wow.
a lot of coaches today can't like get their point across without screaming and doing a lot of things like that. Coach Kahn, like he would yell at you, but like he'd make you feel about this big, and without ever cussing you. It was amazing. Like it's
Wow.
something that
That's a skill.
yeah, yeah. It was. He'd look at me and say, "You're terrible. You're terrible." And I was just like, and it wasn't like
Dang.
he wasn't being serious, but it was just like a way to motivate you, kind of
Yeah.
thing. We knew that.
Yeah.
You know,
Man.
and
Man.
I like to give him crap because I still talk to him a good bit, and and yeah, he's mod or like I guess spread offense, and like it's kind of funny because when I was in high school, we were running like two tight end wing T. Like you talk about, look, man, like I joke about, and Coach Adams, like he tells it because he was at North Gwinnett. He was there, 5, 6 years after I graduated high school, and I'd already started, coaching out of college by this time. But North, they were spread. Well, nobody in Georgia at that time ran multiple receivers. I mean, everybody was under center running like wing T and I, and just it was a fist fight in a phone booth every week. He's like, man, we're just out there like kind of running base concepts like every week, and it's like, and I was like, dude, it's just, it's different. I mean, it's just different at that time, but we could spend the whole podcast talking about the difference in Georgia and Alabama. So
Oh, man, there all those differences even now. I mean, I mean, y'all didn't y'all, yeah, y'all opened with Central Carrollton.
yeah,
Y'all won the game,
right.
but like, man, like the rules differences over there in Georgia. Like by the time y'all play them, they've been in pads for 3 weeks. They've probably
All
played a
summer.
game all
Yeah,
summer.
yeah. So the rule is in Georgia is, you know, like you can do padded camps in the summer. So you can literally go in shells like all summer. Now there are a lot of guidelines that come with it. Like you have to have a train, like multiple trainers on site. You have to be able to feed the opposing teams, and like, but like it's like 2 or 3 days of just like getting after it. So think of like a 2 a day, like almost a 2 a day mentality. And then in Georgia, like in Alabama, we just got that rule a few years ago where if you don't do a spring, you can have a fall scrimmage. Well, in Georgia, if you do a spring, you can have one fall scrimmage. Okay. But if you choose not to do a spring, you can do two fall scrimmages before you ever play a game. Now, I'm pretty sure Central had a spring because they only had one scrimmage and it was against First County. So, we had a little bit of film to go off of them, kind of going into that game. But we knew they were really good and really talented. And I mean, their quarterback's a really good player. They got a running back who everybody in the country's offered. And I mean, they had some guys now, like, I mean, their offensive skill was elite. And fortunately for us, 16 was on that night, and we played really well on offense in the second half. So
Yeah, a 56-46 result kind of speaks
yeah,
for itself there.
yeah, 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 for
Especially in
sure.
a week one game,
Yeah,
56
yeah,
to 46. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Man, what's what is 6A ball here in Alabama compared like to some of these other classifications you've been at?
It's really tough. It's really tough, and I think that you jump from because when I was at Lincoln, my second and third year, and then when I came back, we were in 5A. We were in the South with like Beauregard, Central Clay, Sylacauga. I mean, we had some really good teams.
Yeah.
Um, and then you make that jump into coaching 6A, and man, like it's different. It's different. Like I mean, Beauregard at that time won a state championship. They had a Damian Webb, and which I
Oh
don't think
yeah.
you know other than Central Clay, nobody tackled them all year. And then you got, I mean, obviously Central Clay, what they do is unreal. Um, and you go into playing 6A, and it's just like, holy crap, dude,
Yeah.
this is crazy. Just the you tribute the kind of obviously the players. The I think the biggest difference, honestly, is when you hear guys, and this isn't a knock on anybody, this isn't me taking a shot at anybody, but when you
Sure.
hear about a good player in a smaller classification, he's a good player, and he might be a really good high school player. Well, when you think of a really good 6A, 7A, 5A player, I mean, those guys are like, they're just that. I mean, they're going to
Yeah.
play big time college football. And like I said, that's not taking a shot at anybody. I'm not saying there's never been
Us.
good players. I mean, look at the kid at Fife. He's unreal. Logan
Yeah.
Anderson, he's
Yeah.
unreal. He's an elite player. He could play 7A ball in Alabama, and he's going to play for Clemson. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is just the amount of big time players that you
Oh yeah.
have every week is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember, oh gosh, I don't remember the year. It's been over a decade, but like I remember covering probably two or three different games, covering at Fultondale when Ardarius Stewart was there.
Yeah. Jeez.
And I mean, I can't remember the opponent, but like there was a week where Ardarius did Ardarius things on both sides. He's running wildcat every play. He probably ran for 300 yards and 7 touchdowns, and then on the other side, he's picking off passes, and you're like, this is crazy. Like this dude is obviously a step above everybody.
Right.
And then I covered them against Fife
Mhm.
in the playoffs, and I think maybe they actually knocked off Fife, but this was like a 14-10 kind of game, and you were like, okay, now we're a little more evenly matched here, but it just that difference week in and week out was with a player like that
Mhm.
at a 2A kind of level, they're going to dominate 9 weeks out of 10, and then they're going to have one week where it's tougher. And then you get to the 6A, 7A, like you said, and it's every single week. You might be head and shoulders above a team, but they've still got depth. They still got things that are gonna, give you problems, and it is just a week in, week out fight.
Right, no doubt. That's a nail on the head, man. I mean, that's about as accurate as you can say it right there.
Yeah. So you like we're recording this. Let me look back at your schedule. So y'all got Huffman tonight. I know originally y'all were coming to town, but they're coming to you guys on this Thursday night, and then I know a lot of coaches, when they make the schedule, they kind of like that week 10 off, but y'all are going up to Florence
Yeah.
next week. Is that just the way the cookie crumbled to play that week, or is it like a nice little test before the playoffs?
I think I don't know. That's maybe a good question for Coach Adams. I think it's a little bit of both. I think just the schedule is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you have trouble finding games, and I think that was kind of the case with Coach was
Yeah.
where there weren't a lot of people calling to schedule games, and thankfully that we were able to get Florence, and I think taking that long road trip is going to play a part in maybe helping us
Yeah.
prepare for a playoff run. It's going to be a great game though, and they're going to be a 7A playoff team, and not sure what their seed's going to be yet because they got a big game
Yeah.
with Spectrum tomorrow night, and I know that can affect kind of seeding in that region.
Yeah,
But
their region four up there is wild. I mean, Austin
yeah,
is really good and leading the way again, but then you've got three of those teams at 4-2, James Clemens, Sparkman, and Florence all at 4-2. So there's a lot of stuff to be decided tomorrow night.
yeah, and then you got Bob Jones, who's like just on the outside
Lurking.
looking in, and it's kind of that region every year is just so wide open, man. It's like you just it seems like it comes down to the last week every year.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking at I don't want to get ahead, but like I'm curious your thoughts. Like I say this every year. It's always fun, kind of like March Madness, right? The bracket comes out and everybody fills out a bracket. You love to see who's playing who. But to me, 6A has the most depth from top to bottom every single year. And I know there's still some stuff to be determined. We know you guys are going to play at home and you're going to host the 4 seed out of Region 8, which is probably Buckhorn.
Yeah,
But how do you kind of see brackets like that? Like I remember last year looking at Clay Chalkville's route. Ultimately they win the state championship, but we're looking at their games and their matchups week after week, and I'm like, oh my god, if they actually win this title, they have earned it.
right. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I was actually texting with a buddy of mine who's the OC at Hueytown, and we were talking about that. He was, and I mean, it's just so up in the air, man. Like honestly, you feel like there's 6 or 7 teams that got a chance to win it, and I mean, the South's really good. Obviously, the North is
Yeah.
really strong this year, and I mean, just I mean, golly, you can't take in playoff football. I mean, it's a 1 game season.
Yeah.
You lose that one, there ain't no, oh, okay, we'll get them next week. No, I mean, your season's over. You're taking up equipment, and I mean, obviously, it's not a thing where we can't afford to have a letdown on any night because
Mm.
Gary, I've always just been of the proponent. Games are played on the field; they're not played on paper. You
That's
know,
right.
and I mean, so you got to play the game, and you got to show up every week, and to have a chance of making a playoff run. At a place like Oxford, that's why you coach here. You coach to play in these big time games, and I feel like we've done our part as the players and the staff and stuff of executing for the most part. Has it always looked great? No, absolutely not. But it's going to be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like just doing the little, and again, so much to sort out across 6A tomorrow night. It looks like I said, it looks like probably Buckhorn if I'm looking at this right. Like I know Mountain Brook's already slated to go to Southside, and then I think it's Buckhorn. But then you get past them, like you're looking at like a round two, just round two against like a Muscle Shoals or a Hartselle. Like that's crazy for a
Yeah,
round two game.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's
Crazy.
bring your lunch pail every week, man. I mean, it doesn't get easier. I mean, getting in the playoffs itself is a big deal, and you can't look, man. Like you
Mhm.
can't look past any round. I mean, like, don't everybody's going to say, well, this is about Buckhorn. This we got to play our game against Buckhorn, because, like I said, games are played on the field; they're not played on paper.
Yeah, and it's wild. Like we've always talked about when it gets to playoff time, especially in 6A, that dividing line between North and South of the
Yeah,
state, because like a team like Spain Park that's had an
yeah,
unbelievable year, like they're down there in the South.
yeah,
Like that's crazy. So like they're down there, and then you've got Saraland, Helena's in the South, Pike
yeah,
Road, like all on that side of the bracket, and then your side is, shoot, y'all got you, Clay Chalville, Mountain Brook, Parker, like
Homewood,
just
Muscle
Homewood.
Shoals, Hartselle. I mean,
God,
I
just
mean,
loaded.
yeah, it's brutal, man. I mean, but it's what makes it exciting. Makes playoff football
Yeah.
exciting, and just getting to operate in these. It's kind of cool, man. That the thing that's really cool about Oxford, and I don't know if you kind of felt this when you came over. Oxford's not Birmingham. Okay,
Mm.
it's there is stuff to do in Oxford. Okay,
Oh yeah.
but it's still like a very small town feel. Friday nights important here, and we've had good crowds. Every home game we've had. So I mean, to play at a place like this where it's a 6A school, but you still get that small town atmosphere to me, what high school football is about. It's about community showing up and putting aside whatever differences they may have, and just going out and supporting one team for a common goal, and that's to go out there and do the best we can, and to play well and win.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in the weeds for just a second and give
Yeah.
Oxford some props here because it had been a while since I've been there. I can't remember the last time I was there, but the logistics of getting in and out at
Mhm.
Lamar Field are just perfect. Like the signs are there. You park right there at Martin's or whatever, and you just cross the street, and it's like a little tunnel created for you that leads right to the entrance, and it's like there's no guesswork about where to park. There's no guesswork. Where do I need to go? How do I get in this place? It is just perfectly laid out, and everybody there was just incredibly nice. And yeah, just a cool stadium, a cool Friday night atmosphere. And you mentioned earlier one of your buddies back in Loganville, wondering about that Taco Bell, and you've got that glow of the Taco Bell right there
Yeah,
over the end zone,
that's
kind of
right.
calling your name after the game.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I can, swing by actually before they close one night after a game. So, but they take care of us here, man. It's a great place to work, and we have awesome administration from the top
Yeah,
down, from our superintendent all the way down to Mr. Taylor, our principal, and everybody here has been great, and it's there's a lot of people here that are generational people, people that have lived here their whole life, and their kids have gone to school here. Now their grandkids are going to school here, and it's a really cool deal, man. It really is. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. They're like, "What's it like at Oxford?" I'm like, "Man, it's just cool. Like,
yeah.
it's neat. It's really neat."
That's really important too, having that blend of kind of the old school and new school people who have been around forever, and some people who have moved, and newer families and stuff. That good mix is makes for a really cool special culture.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. And the kids here, man, are just they embrace that, that culture, and look like, you know, you got guys like on our football team like Mason and Keenan Britt, who are, high level guys, and rightfully so, because they play like it week in and week out. And but what maybe the guys that don't get the press are, the guys like Josh Stack, who plays defensive end for us at 200 pounds. And, he's the one who's in the trenches. You got Terrion Russell, who's a young guy playing nose for us. And, you know, I mean, those guys are kind of, you got James Tapley, who's been starting for us at inside linebacker, for 4 years. And I mean, James is going to go to Alabama, just be a regular kid, and be a regular student after high school football. And Deshaun Trammell, who plays right beside him, all at 150 pounds. And that's
Wow.
what makes, but those kids, you can't tell them that. You can't tell them like, hey, you're undersized. No, like, no, I mean, those are the things about high school football that are great. And just seeing the kid maybe overcome some his quote unquote physical, limitations
Right. Right.
and stuff. That's the stuff that, gets you going for sure. And man, just, our whole team's just a team of guys that battled and just have done a great job of loving each other, and most importantly, just working their butt off for Oxford High School.
That's awesome. Let's end it right there. Maybe I'll see you guys again here somewhere in November. Maybe sometime around Thanksgiving. What do you
Yeah,
say?
man. That'd be great. That'd be great. Thanks so much, Gary. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, good to talk to you.
You too, man. See you.
See you later.